Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's podcast. This is Bailey.
And this is Brianna.
This week, I am drinking a watermelon element. Hope, Hopefully, you guys like this watermelon drink better than Brianna's. It honestly isn't terrible. And like I said, I'm not usually a watermelon person. This one isn't bad. I think I put a little too much in this amount of water. It's a little sour.
A little sour. I love that flavor, but I love watermelon.
It tastes like one of those gums. Like, is it the stripe gum? There's some type of gum it tastes like to me.
It's really good. I'm having a recess, one of those like adaptogen drinks, the magnesium and adaptogens. It has L-theanine. What else does it have in it? I think that's it. Magnesium, threonate. Yeah.
Nice. Are you feeling so relaxed?
So relaxed. But I was already really tired before. I was like, I haven't had coffee yet. It's like one of those days where it's like my body's tired, but my mind is kind of going. And I was like, all right, I have a lot to do today. Like, let's just, calm down my brain
Yeah.
a little bit. But I'm doing the grapefruit tangerine, which I think is my favorite. They have like a lemon lime, they have a rosé one, but this one's good. It tastes like tangerine. So if you do not like tangerine, don't get it. People are just never gonna take my they're gonna take my Rex ever again.
That flavor does sound iffy. I feel like anything with grapefruit is always iffy. And I don't know. I just bought one of the recessed ones. I forget what flavor it is, but I just bought one. And when I bought it, they're like, oh, can we see your ID? And I was like, did I get alcohol? Like, I was so confused.
What?
But I guess it's because it has CBD in it or something.
Oh yeah, they have those ones. They have like their
Yeah.
mocktails,
And I
which
had no
I haven't
idea.
tried yet, but
Why am I getting farted right now?
girl,
I was
were you
so
with Shannon?
I was not.
I feel like after I started going to stores with kids, then they're like, oh, she's fine. And if
Yeah.
she's not, she needs this.
Yeah. That's fine. I mean, one place I actually went and like grabbed beer for Josh one time when I was pregnant, and they didn't card me or anything. It's like, I mean, hopefully it's not for me, but whatever.
Well, girl, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then you get to the point where you're like, how rude. No one's carding me anymore. Ick. And then you get upset when they do.
Well, my sister, she's 21, and if we've gone out together before, I will get carded and she won't, and we're 6 years apart. So
Yeah. And you still look like young. Well, there's like, yeah, there's like 20-year-olds walking around these days that look way older than 20.
yes,
Like you look young. Girl,
like
you want to see mine too?
yeah,
Would you like to see mine? Let me get it.
yes. One day I'm gonna be really glad that I look a lot younger than I am. But
Yeah.
right now it still gets annoying.
Yeah. No, you'll like it.
Yes, a little life update for everyone because we are trying really hard to get back to doing this, but we feel like our lives are just not super interesting, so we always forget to do it. But we know you guys really like to hear about the updates with kids and just our life in general. So, update today, Gannon started his first day at the sitter. I actually did pretty well. I cried last night and then came to work today. And then I hit my head on the cabinet, gave myself a concussion.
It's just all the things piled up.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, happy Monday, I guess. But then my friend brought me chocolate chip cookies. So,
Yeah. Everyone's taking care of you. They know they're
yeah,
treading lightly. It's a big day for her.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, whatever advice anyone has on going back to work full time after and like being off work for 12 weeks. And I really wasn't completely off work. I was just home with Gannon every day, kind of working still, just not full time. But it was a little sad this morning. Secretly, I hope he's sad all day.
There's no like you can't win for losing, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be like, you'd be so sad if he was sad, but then when you show up and he's like happy, you're like, why were you happy without me?
You should not be happy
Why are
about
you
me.
happy? Your mother was not here. Why are you happy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, I think he'll do really good, and I'm gonna text a sitter after we record. Just a little check in,
Just checking. How's he doing?
a day check in.
How's he doing? No, it's just like big life transitions like that. You don't know what to expect. And no
Yeah.
one, even if people do give you advice, I feel like, I don't know, you just have to go through it. Like my oldest started middle school this year, and I was like, oh, everything's going to be fine. Well, first, my youngest started kindergarten, and I was like, well, that's kind of sad. I feel like I'm officially out of like the baby toddler phase, you know, because like he's 5, he's in kindergarten. But then I was like, you know what? I kind of know the ropes. Like, this is great. But then, like I said, my oldest started middle school. It turns out I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. You go from like them walking your kids to the car, making sure you're actually mom, like all this to like the bell rings at middle school and they just tell you to get out. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? Like, where did you tell my child to go? You know, like, I don't know. Did he take the bus? Did he do this? I was like, he doesn't know what he's doing. I didn't prepare him for this. So it's weird. And now in the morning, he just like walks out the door, walks himself to the bus stop. I'm like, it's so great on one hand, but it's also really sad. I'm like the crazy mom because he just got a phone he can only text me on. And I'm like, text me when you get to the bus stop. That's like literally like 15 feet from our house. Okay. Text me when you get to the bus stop. Text me when you get to school. And he's the first stop. So they pick him up and take him to the school 2 miles away. So like he's texting me at like 7:15 and then at 7:25. And like, okay, well, text me when you get into your class at 7:45. He's like, Mom, I can't remember to do this. I'm like, okay.
I would say, does he actually text you all these times?
He was, and now he's not.
Mm.
So he has to text me when he gets to school though. But then I just check his location like a crazy
I was
person.
like, I would just check his location.
I just like see him walking around. And I'm like,
Yeah.
put your phone away.
Yep.
So sad. It's happy, but it's sad. It's like a good transition, but I don't like it.
Do you think he's only texting you? Do you think he's got some girls in there?
So not yet. My middle one, that's what I'm scared about. And I have to approve any numbers that he talks to. It's real locked down. He like hates me for it. But, you know, he's starting to text his little friends. But yeah, I got a message the other day that was like phone being used in like whatever. And they're in the middle of his math class, which apparently, as he told me this morning, my math teacher takes away my soul, apparently.
Oh, okay.
I was like, that's a bit emo. That's it. You're
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, I got a message like last week saying phone being used during this time. And I was like, if you get your phone taken away, you're in trouble. You're done. I don't know. So it's like a whole thing. It's weird. It's like all of a sudden they just go from like being babies to these little independent things in the world that they're not ready for it. He's not, at least.
Yeah.
He is not. He's not. Like I made a story the other day on my Instagram, like moms don't have any time because they're too busy driving kids
Oh, yeah.
to their kids or their kids forgot. That's me every day. I'm like, you should not be having a phone or independence. These basic skills you don't have. But yeah, it's a little bittersweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Are they in this stage where they're like, you're not cool anymore? They're too cool for you.
so my oldest, he's always been like this sweet, sensitive one. So he's like gentle. That's what I
Yeah.
always say. He's gentle with my heart. He's like, so like gives me a hug and kiss. I was like, okay, but you know, like he's excited to see me. My middle one, like if I go pick him up at school, he's like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. Don't. If I roll down the window, I'm like, bye, have a good day. He's like, oh God, I don't know who she is. Well, don't make me embarrass you. He gets so embarrassed. So yeah, I'm still cool with my oldest, but I already know when my middle one gets to middle school, he's gonna be like, don't,
Running away.
yeah, pretend like you don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
Drop me off way over here. Rude. I remember that when you need me to bring you stuff.
Yeah. Like, I'll stop bringing you things. And then see how cool you are.
Yeah. No, look who needs their lame mom now. Haha. So yeah. So that's our little life update, our little seasons of life that we're in.
Yes. And I think it kind of works with today's topic. It's part 2 of our work-life health balance episode. And we are talking about managing health in a busy lifestyle. We're going to give you all the tips, but also I feel like we're both kind of figuring out our new rhythm, maybe, especially like you were just talking about. I mean, your kids are going back to school. Are they on like different school schedules?
Yes, which I was in such a good groove. Really, it was great. And now I have the whole like 2 different schedules, be at the same place at 2 different times. So we're figuring that out.
You're figuring that part out. I'm figuring out getting going to sitter, going back to work full time, getting in the workouts, meal prepping, like doing all the things. And plus, like his doctor's appointments, all the things that just come in this season of life. Yep. So we're gonna give you some of our tips that have helped us and some tips that have helped other people. I think when we talk about tips, sometimes it can feel like you have to implement every single thing that we share with you, but you don't. And honestly, we don't both implement every single thing that we talk about either, because you have to find what works for you. And I think you've talked about it on an episode before. Like, you've made a reel about meal prepping a way that you don't even meal prep. It's not that like we're lying or anything, or these things don't work. Just different things work for different people. So we're going to kind of give you some different perspectives, just some things to think about as well when you're trying to like manage your health, manage weight loss, whatever it is that you're looking for right now in your busy lifestyle. Because we also don't want you to get stuck in this rut of, oh, I'm too busy, I don't have time for this, or I'll do this next month, when it's kind of slowed down a little bit. I would be willing to bet you 90, I'm going to go with 98% of the time when we're like, oh, it's going to slow down next month, it does not slow down. Like, your
No.
life just keeps going. I honestly can't think of a month where I was just like, I am so bored, I'm just going to do all these extra things.
I have all this time all of a sudden. No, it's like there is this meme going around that was like adulthood is just saying like things are going to be better over and over again until you die. It's like, yeah, there's always going to be things. And just when you have this season figured out, it's going to change, other stuff's going to happen. So I think it's really, really important to learn how to manage it both, or else you're just going to be continuously frustrated, really. And yeah, like you said, we don't implement all these things, but we work with a lot of people and we know things that work. Like I know certain things that work for a ton of my clients. And so it's like, yeah, I'm going to share that. Not to say that it won't ever work for me, but there's certain things that we'll talk about today that have worked for me before, maybe not right now, doesn't mean they won't later. And so I think being open to trying different things is important, because I think sometimes we're just like, that doesn't work. I've tried that before, that doesn't work. And we get really like stuck in that mindset, and you're kind of kicking yourself down before you even try.
Try things for 3 weeks before you're like, this isn't going to work. Because, yeah, the first few days are going to be a little bit harder, probably because you're not used to doing it. So you just have to see, okay, can this actually be a routine for me? Try it for 3 weeks and see if it works, see if it does change anything. But
Yeah.
I would say number one thing is just like figure out what you need to keep things running smoothly, whether it's making a mental list or a physical list. Honestly, I need a physical list, because if I like have it just kind of running in my brain all the time, then it makes my brain go freaking crazy. So I still use a written planner. I have a calendar in my office that I write in, and I have reminders set in my phone. So I use like the reminders app, and I
Mhm.
set like specific dates. Like if bills need to be paid that I don't have on auto pay, which is really annoying when you can't do that. But
Yeah.
then that pops up on that day, and then it like keeps popping up until I check it saying that I did it. So I use the reminders, I use the notes app. I'd say those are like the main things I use. Like I have just different sources of planning set out. And then, well, I guess even I meal plan from my phone. Josh and I have a note that we collaborate on, and I can actually put a link. We'll put a link in the show notes of how you can do that on your phone too. I have like a whole here's how to set it up type of thing.
Oh yeah.
So I think that is super helpful. These lists, and figure out what type of list you do need to kind of not make your brain just start spinning, even if you have to separate it from like a work list and a home list.
Yeah.
So I keep more of my work things in my planner. That way it's not like I'm home trying to get those things done, looking in my work planner. Now I'm getting overwhelmed because of work stuff I have to get done tomorrow, type of thing.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a good point right there. And we kind of touched on that last week with our part one, but setting those boundaries. So, like, if you feel really overwhelmed with the list of things that need to get done, I would absolutely say separate the home and separate the work. And probably for the sake of this, pay attention to the home stuff, because it's odds are you have the work stuff down. So, and I do physical lists too. And sometimes I'll have clients write down like what's everything that's super stressful about your day. Like it's stressful that I have to take the kids here and there. I have to figure out dinner, like the grocery shopping, or like this is always dirty, whatever it is, and kind of write down all the things that stress you out. And then you can see, okay, what on this list is there something I have to make a plan for every weekend or every Monday or every midweek or whatever it is? so that it gets done. So you kind of get into like this routine. So, on there would be like plan or prep meals. Like if you, and I tell clients this all the time, if you are constantly going into your week with no plan and then letting mealtime overwhelm you 3 times a day, especially if you're a mom and you're cooking for other people, it is going to feel so overwhelming. And then what happens is you're stressed 3 times a day, you're overwhelmed. Of course, you're going to give your kids something to eat. And then when it comes to you, you're just like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to eat, or I'll eat off their plate, or I'll order something. And it's just like rinse and repeat, feeling overwhelmed. So I would say for everyone, planning or prepping your meals should be on your priorities list of like things that have to get done so it can run smoothly.
It is so much harder too when you're feeding other people. I remember like when I was living by myself, I mean, I would have like a mental grocery list of things I would just get every week and I could throw things together so much easier. I also think it's because I'm a dietitian, I do this for a living type of thing. But when I was also just having to feed myself, it was really quick and easy. So I think it's even more important, especially if you have a family to feed or even just like one other person to feed. It makes it easier just to have a plan. I don't necessarily prep every week. There's some things that I will occasionally, like hard-boiled eggs. I will wash and chop fruits and vegetables, those type. And that's like the prep I will do. Otherwise, it's more just what things can I do on like cooking dinner? Can we make leftovers? Or I'll just like pack my lunch and have it ready the night before. But it's definitely that planning piece. And when it comes to planning, also looking at your schedule instead of just being like, oh, I want to try all of these recipes this week. I'm gonna make this, this, and this. Because if you get home Monday night at like 7 o'clock, usually you're eating dinner at 5:30, and now you have a meal that's going to take, I don't know, an hour to cook. Well, now you're not eating to 8 o'clock. By the time you get home at 7, you're probably like, yeah, screw this. I'm not waiting to 8 o'clock. I'm so hungry right now. Like, that's not going to work. So look at your schedule to kind of see, when will I get home? What type of meal do I need for this night? How am I usually feeling on this day? Do I even want to cook anything? Do
Yeah.
you need to have crock pot meals? Do you need to have a few like ingredients already prepped? Do you need to order like meal delivery type thing to try and figure out what works? Like yesterday, Sundays, we usually don't like to really do much for lunch because we're like running around, we're getting things done. So like we'll do basically like a charcuterie board almost for lunch and just have different meats and cheeses, nuts, fruits, veggies. And we just have a giant snack plate because neither of us want to cook, neither of us want to get stuff together. We're trying to get stuff going for the week. So that's kind of how we plan and prep.
Yeah. And I hear this all the time when women are like, okay, I'm on my nutrition routine. I'm getting serious. I'm cracking down. I'm going to meal prep. I'm going to do all the things. And then they put together this like elaborate little plan. And then, yeah, it turns out, oh, we have baseball 2 nights a week and I'm getting home at 8 and now I'm exhausted. And like, so then I couldn't cook what was on my plan and they kind of just get defeated. So I would say the easier, the better, really. And I think we've talked about this with like meal prepping before and we have an episode on it, but like make it simple. So really make your list of everything that needs to get done and then sit down, take a moment, prioritize your schedule, look at it. Like, what the heck does my schedule even look like this week? And really, when I say prioritize, I mean all the stuff that you want to get done for yourself. So, like your movement, your workouts, sleep, stress management, nutrition. Figure out how you're going to prioritize that every day and treat it as if like it's just as important as a work meeting, or it's just as important as like my kids have a doctor's appointment, or just as important as like something that you just wouldn't skip, right? So like, no, I'm scheduling in meal prep. This is when I'm doing that. This is when I'm doing a grocery pickup. This is when I'm getting walks in. This is when I'm going to the gym. And this is like what I'm doing for myself every day for stress management. Where am I fitting it in? And get nitty gritty with that schedule. And I think the problem with this right here is there's a lot of pushback and people don't want to do that because they're like, oh, that just seems like a lot more work. But the reality is you're on this like struggle bus routine as it is, wanting to do all these things and you're not doing it. So you kind of have to force yourself to look at it and be like, when am I doing this? And when am I going to schedule it in? And then setting those reminders, using that planner, treating it like it's not an option. Like not, oh, I just couldn't work out today. I was so busy. Well, when is your workouts planned for? And treat them like I can't miss it. And obviously life happens, but making it more of a priority than what it is right now, because odds are right now you look at meal prep and moving your body and stress management as like stuff that could go on the back burner when your day is busy, but your day isn't getting any less busy.
Exactly. And I totally am feeling the mom guilt that so many of you have talked to me about. It's a real thing because it's like, I don't want to take more time away from my kids. It is so weird to think about. Our kids can spend like 8 hours at school or daycare, and then they get like 4 hours with us maybe at night.
Mm-hmm.
So really, I mean, kids are at with their teachers or with their sitters or whoever it is more time when they are home with us, which is kind of sad. But
Yeah.
I mean, when they're home too, yes, you could wait till after they go to bed. But personally, right now, like Gannon goes to bed around 8:30. And so we're going to bed around 9:30. Like that's, I'm not going to work out that close to bed. I won't go to bed then. And then I'm waking up at 5 o'clock. So then I would be missing out on sleep. So that's not happening. I'm not going to do workout when he's sleeping. So I think what helps too is think about like what your kids are going to pick up on. What type of lifestyle do you want them to pick up on? Even though he's a baby right now, obviously he's not going to like start doing push-ups with me tomorrow or anything. But I mean, I feel like they are always picking up on things and they are always kind of learning your routine. And I think it is important to kind of include your kids or incorporate your kids in whatever it is that you're doing, even if it's meal prep. I mean, they can help meal prep. They can help get stuff together for their lunches. Or so like I get up at 5 o'clock. I don't have to leave until like 6:45, 7. So it doesn't actually take me that long to get ready. I more do it so I have time to like get the kitchen kind of ready for the day, get my breakfast, get my lunch together. I like to do it all in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's awake, then I just bring him in the kitchen with me. He sits in his little bouncer. We turn on music. Like it's a fun vibe. Josh walks out and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" Like, we're dancing at 5:30 in the morning. What are you doing?
Real, that's so funny. You're like the morning person. But
Yes.
no, I think it is important because I work with so many people, outpatient, especially like if I'm taking insurance and they're coming to learn about nutrition and movement and health habits at like 40, 50, 60, sometimes 70 years old. And it's not, and I always have to tell them this is a skill that you just weren't taught. And that's okay. That's just the reality of it. And so, yeah, like realizing like, I want my kids to know it's important to move their body every day or, get into the groove of I actually prepare my meals or I do care about my sleep. And just like I care about like, how are they managing their emotions and screen time and all the other things. Right. And so I think, you know, mirroring that is really important. And then, but you also brought up a good point is like, you've looked at your schedule and seen like right now, my evening times, I'm not willing to negotiate that. And we talked about that in episode 1. I'm not willing to negotiate that time. I want that time with Gannon. And so having those boundaries, I think is important because you also need those like in the mix of, oh gosh, what am I doing for my body and nutrition? What brings me joy and fills my cup and gives me that stress management. And so I would say you kind of know your stress management time and realistically, like what is a priority right now? Where can I fit it in? And when is that more likely to happen? I think people are stuck with that.
It was really hard to figure out and kind of get beyond the part of, oh my gosh, I'm not paying attention. I'm not playing with him type of thing. But I think it's also important to grow up around that. And like a lot of times we do spend, it's me and Gannon at night because Josh is working later. And so even if it's just us two, like I will take him downstairs with me and he will sit there, we listen to music again while
Yeah.
I'm working out. Or like we all three of us will go on a walk or just different things like that. We incorporate him with our life where, and who brought it up? So Megan in one of the Mindset Monday calls, she talked about like just incorporating the kids with your life and not feeling like you have to always do like the kid things.
Yeah.
And she talked about that and the importance of play Monday talk because I feel like, I mean, it's definitely, I'm seeing already where it gets to the point of it's hard to get things done because we're watching Bluey or we're playing with the balls or whatever kids are doing, you know? But she's like, when I have to like clean out the garage, she has her daughter like power wash everything off, and she loves it.
Mhm.
Getting stuff done, kids are having fun, but we're also like being productive. And I think that is a really good point to make, where it doesn't have to feel like we have to constantly be entertaining the kids to get to spend time with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like, not feeling so isolated, because I see that a lot too. Like, I'm trying to do this, so like I have to focus all this time on myself, but really knowing like, okay, how can I just make my family life? And we can do a whole episode on that. Like, how do I incorporate this into my family life so that it's not mom's always doing her own thing and then here's when I'm with my family. Like, the meals should be similar, your schedule should be similar, priorities should be similar. And so, but that is hard because moms have a lot of mom guilt and then they're always still trying to do all the things. So, not everybody has a partner, but somebody has. If you do have a partner, great. But you have, your boss, your friends, like whatever it is, I would say the people that help you out, if you have someone, and if you don't, I encourage you to get some sort of support system, but have like a sync meeting with them and just say, hey, like, this is what I really need. This is like what I'm trying to get done. This is what I really need. And just kind of touch base with someone. This is something that I started doing with Victor probably like a year and a half ago when our lives got really, like, really, really busy. It was like, I need a sync meeting. Like, what went really well last week? What needs to be done this week? Who's doing what? And sometimes, like, when we're both super tired, it gets like nitty gritty, like who's picking up the grocery, who's picking up the kids, who's doing bath time, who's doing dinner, like how are we doing this? And we just kind of know upfront, designate it like this is all the stuff that needs to get done this week. We share this stuff. It's not all on me. Who's doing what? And it works really well that way. And I'd say, whatever your support system is, have that conversation with them. Don't feel like you need to do everything all the time because you're going to burn out.
Absolutely. And Josh and I actually recently had that conversation. I was talking to him about this book I've been writing. I don't know if I've mentioned it. I think I have mentioned it on the podcast in like one episode, but I am writing like a book slash guidebook. It's became a big project and it's going on a year now since I've been working on it. But anyways, I was talking to him about it. I was like, I really want to get this done. I set a date. I'm going to launch it October 15th. And he's like, okay, like what do you need me to help you do to get this done? And I think that's a great quality to have and a partner, just being willing to help, because I feel like partners should always be willing to help, but sometimes it can feel like hard to ask for that help. So
Yeah.
it is nice when they're like, hey, what do you need from me type of thing. And since you have older kids, is there anything just off the top of your head? Because I think we should do a separate episode on just like how to include the kids, but anything that you try to like include them in as far as working on this healthy lifestyle?
Yes. So, and I have boys, so sometimes they're a little bit rambunctious. So now early weekday mornings, they're in charge of making their own breakfast. Obviously, I'm in there with them. I'm still doing stuff, but they're kind of getting their kind of breakfast going. I think that's important because it used to feel like, oh my gosh, mornings were so stressful. It was like, get up, everyone's lunch packed, everyone's breakfast packed, make sure everyone's dressed, like all the, and now that they're older, it's like, well, you don't need to just sit at the counter and wait for me to serve you, even though that's what we've done forever. So now, like, get up, make your breakfast, fill up your water bottles, pick out what you want as a snack, like just kind of giving them that independence of like, okay, figure out all the things you need for the day. What do you need? You need to be hydrated. You need to eat. So kind of letting them do that. And I've incorporated it more like when I'm planning and prepping the meals, I'll ask them like, what do you really want for dinner this week? Or what do you really want for lunches? And just so it's taking the guesswork out of it. Cause sometimes just figuring out what the heck does everyone want to eat is so much pressure. But those are the big things. And then just having them do more of like, okay, they're capable of doing their own tasks. Let them do it. And with my oldest, and it started because he had ADHD. So I was like, oh, he's going to need a list like me. But now I'm realizing like, oh no, this is actually just a good life skill. Like he has a little checklist in the morning, like all the stuff he needs to do, all the stuff he needs to grab. And so he's like learning to be like, oh, let me think about all the stuff I need for the day. It takes so much mental load off you as a parent, but then you're also like helping them with their skill. Yeah.
Becoming a functioning human of society. We
Yeah.
love that.
Go get dressed, go do your own thing. Like you can totally make your own breakfast, which is great. And again, like I said, some mornings it's messy, but it's nice because then they're getting to pick out what they want. They can kind of identify everything that's on their plate and then they're going to eat it, which is also great. But yeah, I think just bringing them in more on like realizing they need to think for themselves about nutrition and movement and hydration and all that,
Yes,
kind of like how I want somebody to do for me.
that would be
Like, where's my mom? I
nice.
want to just come out in the morning and have everything figured out for me.
Yeah, like, can someone just make my list for me?
Yeah, can you just do it for
Can I
me?
chat GPT that? Chat GPT, please plan my day for me.
Plan my day. And then make sure I give in all those things.
Yeah. Honestly, you probably could put in everything you need to do for the day, like type in your time meetings and tell it to plan your day, and it would.
We honestly have no reason these days to not know how to time manage. We have so many tools that could do it for us. It's just doing it and it's taking away a little bit of that overwhelm. And I think that brings us to kind of like our next point is just embracing that flexibility and that myth of perfection. So if you are stuck in that perfection mindset, you want everything to be perfect, you're never going to move forward.
You're just going to continue being stuck, to be quite honest. And I know you want to do all the right things. I know you've looked up everything you need to do. I know you have like 10 different options of what you could do to lose the weight, to get a better workout routine. But we shoot ourselves in our butts when we're just like, I need to do this routine perfectly, or it's just not happening, or I'm just going to wait till I can implement it type of thing. We have got to let go of that perfection. And I totally get it. It's so hard to let go of it. I am such a like everything has to go this way type of person.
Yeah. And I
It's
think
hard for me to be flexible.
yeah, and it gets harder too, like the older your kids get, and it's like, okay, everybody has to be in certain places, everybody has this going on, and so you just want this order, and so it makes it harder to be flexible. But I always tell people like perfection is the killer of consistency. You cannot be consistent if you are focused on being perfect because when those late night practices come up, you're going to say, screw it. If I can't cook that elaborate meal I was going to do, I'm going to go through the drive-through, or forget it. And my kid got sick and they're home from school today. So instead of being able to go to the gym and do my hour perfect workout, I'm not going to move my body at all. It's those things. And just like, oh, well, stuff happened today and I couldn't do what I was going to do. But that's the whole, like, allow yourself to kind of adapt to what
Yeah.
you do. Set those like non-negotiables. Like today was a day I was supposed to move my body. Can I go to the gym and get an hour workout in uninterrupted? No, but I need to do something. And I need to be okay with doing like an imperfect workout or a shorter workout or okay, I can't cook that meal because I'm exhausted and it's 8 o'clock at night and I didn't plan this well, but like, what can I make at home? That would be a better option instead of just throwing in the towel.
Once you learn how to be adaptable and learn that it's okay for your weeks or even your days to look different, that is where you will find the consistency. So even just thinking about like workouts, if you like you mentioned, like if you can't get an hour workout, and honestly don't ever work out for an hour, I'm like a 45-minute or maybe
Yeah.
30 to 45 minutes is
Yeah.
what I do. But if you can't get that in, like split up your workouts. Honestly, you could do like 10 minutes at lunch, 20 minutes after work, and that'll do. Or implementing more activities with the kids. Like instead of feeling like you have to go on this 3 mile run, can you outside and play basketball with them?
Go play tag with them. You'll be done. Yeah, way better than run.
Go play tag. Or
Yeah.
like it doesn't have to be you have to go to the gym. You could also just do it at your house. And it also doesn't have to be like in your gym clothes. Our walk last night, we actually just walked up to the neighbor's house and went and talked to them. I was like, okay, Josh had to go in and shower. I was like, I'm gonna just go around the loop, and while you're showering, I'm just gonna take you in and around. I was literally in jean shorts, sandals, and like a cute shirt. I don't know. But I was like not in workout clothes. I mean, my feet hurt a little bit, but I'm fine. And I got some extra steps in.
And there's been, if you're like a all or nothing perfectionist person, this is where I really encourage you to work on, because until you kind of prove to yourself that it doesn't have to be perfect, you're always going to strive for perfection. And so like I've had people like set a goal this week, you're doing an imperfect workout because I want you to see how much better it could be. Like, oh wow, I still got 20 minutes in where instead of nothing. And then, I usually have them kind of track their progress like a habit tracker, like, okay, look at this month compared to last month and combine all your imperfect workouts or your little bit here and there, and how much overall time did you have spent working out compared to last month when, yeah, maybe you got in some really good, perfect, amazing A+ workouts. And it's always going to be way more. Going to be way more. They're going to feel better. They're going to be in this routine. And then they've proven to themselves, oh no, I can still do it. This still matters. This still counts. This is better than nothing. And just having that mindset really with everything.
Yes. Even if, like, let's say you don't get the meal planning done, and really meal planning should not take more than like 20 minutes, but there are some Sundays that have gotten away from us and we don't get it done. So I would say if you could prioritize protein and have that kind of ready to go for your meals, that's going to set you up pretty well. Especially, I mean, for us, a lot of our protein, our meat is frozen. So like we do have to plan for it because it has to be thawed out. So just being able to prioritize that protein planning is going to really help your meals. Even if you're not used to meal planning, just start there. Decide what meat you're going to have each night, and that will help. I also think it's helpful as far as the nutrition side of things, snacks, planning for them, especially when you're on the go. I know there's some days where I'm like, I'm not really sure when I'll be home, not sure if we're going to stop for lunch. So I will just like, I always travel with an Aloha bar or like an applesauce pouch with a beef stick, things that aren't going to need to be like refrigerated. They're not going to go bad. If I eat them, great. If I don't eat them, that's fine too. Is going to be helpful. So that way, when you do get to your meal, you're not going to be starving. And that's where we can overdo it and then we don't feel so good.
Right. Exactly. Just the going back to the whole like start of this episode, how am I going to prioritize myself? Just kind of thinking about yourself a little bit. And I don't know when it starts to happen where people don't, but so often, like, I feel like women are just flying by the seat of their pants. Like, I don't remember the last time I ate. I don't remember the last time I had water. I don't remember the last time I sat down, but I'm living off coffee and like a prayer. And here we go. And it's like, okay, we need to give yourself a break. We don't need to be doing this because you're not operating well doing it. And it feels like this is how I have to operate because I'm so busy. Whereas if you would probably feel much less busy and anxious and scattered if you did prioritize yourself and like your productivity, you find like you're able to do so much more when you just prioritize yourself a little bit. Like treat yourself like you would one of your kids. Are you ever going to drop off Gannon at Hit the Sitter? No diaper bag, no bottles, no extra change of clothes. We don't know. See you when I see you. Like you'll do great. No. And like moms don't do that either. Like I know so many moms that skip breakfast, don't pack themselves a lunch, but every morning they're getting up and they're cooking their kids breakfast and they're packing their kids lunch. Like you're doing the things you need to do every single day for yourself. You're just not doing them for you.
And really, you could eat pretty much the same thing that you're packing. Yeah. Kids don't need necessarily kids' food. This turned into an episode about like just moms, but hopefully you can take.
But I think it's part of that.
Yeah, anyone can apply these things we are talking about. I mean, there's also like days I was making Josh's lunches. So like I would make both of our lunches at the same time.
Yeah.
Really, it's just find what works for you. And that is how you're going to manage your busy lifestyle with your health. And also talk to your village, talk to your people around you when you need help, identify what you need, set boundaries. Oh my gosh, set boundaries. You don't have to also do anything and everything. And if people get upset by that,
no.
Oh well.
It's like the whole like put, when they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first when you're in that, because you're no good to anyone. If you're not able to, run properly, you're not. So yeah. And even if you don't have kids and you're just like, I have such a busy lifestyle, or maybe you're in a season of life where you're like, no, kind of taking care of kids isn't my thing. you can apply all these things that we said here. There's other stuff that's taking that mental, like it's filling up that mental load or like taking your time. So figuring out like I must prioritize myself just as much as I'm prioritizing all the other things that I'm doing. I have to. I have to look at it as like, no, this is something that needs to get done.
Think
And it's
about it. Like if it helps you, think about if you have someone that you like help take care of, even if it's not your kids, if
mm-hmm.
it's like your niece or nephew, or think about someone who's important to you, if it helps you to think of this. If you're someone who is always like putting other people ahead of you, think about those people you put ahead of you. If they called you up and was like, hey, can you run to the grocery store for me? And you would do that, run to
Yeah.
the grocery store for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even if that's your boss, would you tell your boss? No, probably not. So don't tell yourself no. And it's hard, right? Because I think this is not really the things people want to hear. Like they like the tips and tricks and it sounds all great. And then they just feel stuck when it comes to applying them. But I don't know what to tell you, man. Your mom, you're not going to wake up tomorrow and have a grown adult mom packing your stuff and telling you to get on out and have a great day. You know, it has to be you. Keep it simple, figure out how to prioritize yourself, what needs to be done. And then, like Bailey said, try it for a couple of weeks before you just decide it's not for you and see how you feel. How has your stress been? Do you feel like your habits are more manageable? Do you find that you're moving more, that you've actually had a few more meals at home? Like, that's the goal here. It's not to do some crazy, like, implementation for 30 days and then never do it again.
Once you know, you got this. If you need help kind of finding some balance in your life, how to manage your time, feel free to send us a message. Let us know how we can help you out. There's actually been a lot of people where I literally help them schedule their day because if that's where you're struggling, is just that I'm too busy feeling, I will literally sit down with you and help you schedule your day. We play many roles as dietitians. Sometimes it's time schedulers.
Oh yeah, I do that all the time.
Whatever
Like
helps you.
through your day. Literally, what time are you doing this? Okay. What do you think about this? Yeah, I
Yeah.
do it all the time. Because people just need to see it. Like, oh,
Yes.
okay.
You need outside perspective. That is super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So once you know you can do this, you have so many resources available to you. We are here to help you and give yourself a break from all the perfection that you're trying to hold yourself up to. Let it be a little bit messy as you're figuring out. That is okay.
Let it be. I like that. Let it be messy.
That's all right. All right,
Everything.
everyone. We will be back next week for part 3. I think we're gonna do a 3-part series. I think 3 will be good for this to cover it. So we'll do part 3 next week to wrap up our series, and we're gonna talk about how the heck are we gonna sustain this. You figured out the mess, you've gone through the messy, you feel like you're in a good routine, and now maybe you're like, how's this actually going to last? That's what we're gonna talk about next week.
So yeah, don't miss it. I'm excited for that one. I'm excited for all of them, but you know.
We're always excited. It'd be hard to talk about something that we didn't really care about. So
That's true.
yes, it's good that we're excited about every episode.
Yep.
All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. And I hope you're back to listen next week.
Bye.
Bye.